Hey guys, Major Dodo here with the next installment of our Dodo's Guide to the Kingdoms of Death, Pinups of Death, Box 1. And this is part 7 where we do the Pinup Saviour. And there's a lot of parts on this considering it's one model, and there's a reason for that. It's because originally these were two models. We had the Pinup Saviour and the Pinup Saviour variant, and the variant didn't have the cloak or the skirt that you can see on the sprue. And it also had, I believe, the sword arm instead of the staff arm. And now they give you parts to make either version, including a sheath sword and a sword sheath on its own, which you can see here. So that way, if you use the sword arm, you've got the sheath to stick on the model. If you use the staff arm, then you've got the sheath sword to stick on the model. I'm not sure which one we're going to do today. I'll see how it looks once I've done the rest of the model. We're going to be going for the Super Lolly version, which is the variant. But you are going to be left over with a considerable number of parts, including essentially waist, legs, weapons. Like, you're basically, if you've got a little bit of know-how, you're going to be able to take some survivor parts and make a second Saviour. You're just not going to have the torso and the head. And this is, I think, about the only model in the entire box that doesn't have detachable breasts. And that is because she's a bit flat. This is very much, although I guess the saviors were children in the thing, so. So to start off, we're going to clip out the parts we need. Now, I'm not sure which legs we're actually going to need for this, so I'm going to clip them all out, and we'll dry fit the ones that look the best. As always, I've never assembled this model. This will be my first time. However, I've given the sprue a bit of a look over to have a bit of a guess of, okay, what parts go where, that sort of thing. So you get these 4 legs out, and then we'll get the 2 waist pieces out. Now you got to be careful with this one because it's the skirt, but we're not going to be using the skirt variant. I don't know. We'll see. It's really the only, like, you can assemble everything, and then it's just like which one you put the torso on, basically. So you got to be careful. We don't want to clip the actual arm out because she does have part of the arm there. Obviously, as I assemble this, I'll zoom in as I've been doing and show you the bits as we do it. So I'm going to grab all those parts out. We'll grab the other waist. There we go. And so just left on the sprue now, we have the sword arm, we have the unarmed arm, staff, and the swords, and then the big cloak, which I have no idea. I don't think I'm going to put that cloak on. It's not... It looks okay as far as cloaks go, but it's not brilliant. I accidentally picked up an extra base when I was getting set up. For once, I had the base out ready, but it looks like she's wearing sneakers, but they're not. They're normal shoes. All right, so we have. Oh, those legs are not going to go together. That's for sure. So this pair, it's got to be these two that go together, which means I think they're going to sit. So I'll have the skirt section. Let's see, so that's a right leg. Okay, so that definitely goes with. No. How does this? That's butt. Is that butt? This is. Wait, that's this. Okay, so it's this way around, and this goes in like that, I believe. Which means that then we have another leg that goes in, which should be this one. So if I'm dry fitting, oh, that's going to be a nightmare. Okay, so but that means that's narrowed that down. So it's a very weird pose. So we want the front with the belly button. Alright, this one's easier, so that one's going to go like that. And that one's going to go like that. So you do have, looks like that's a sword strap. I'll show you when I'll zoom in a bit. So it looks like they've sculpted on. They say that little strap there where my thumb is, that I'm guessing is the sword sheath. That's where the sheath's going to stick, just on the thigh there, hanging down from those two. So that's how you know that belongs to this one. And then the other leg is this leg. It's got a big hunk of butt on it that we'll dry fit up. I think it was this leg. You got me worried now. Yes. It's a very odd pose. Like, I have no idea. The artwork has that whole like sticks its leg out thing. That's I don't know. As I said, it's all of these models seem to have really weird leg poses. Just quickly bringing up something I should have done earlier, which is bring up the. Alright, let's have a look at this. Yeah, she is a very weird pose. But we'll carry on. Alright, so we're going to clean up the parts now. I've gone through this a few times. I think I'm going to assemble both bottoms, and then we'll, just so you guys see, we'll make it a more complete guard, I guess. So just quickly cleaning off. I got to be very careful. I changed the knife blades just for tonight, just for this video. So we're going to try and keep these legs sorted out and separate. I've also realized that they actually have, this is going to be the easiest way to tell these legs apart, is that they have matching stockings between the two legs. So one leg has, if I zoom it in again, one leg has a double one, and one has a single. So that's going to be your way, the easiest way to tell these two legs together. Which I wish I had realized at the start. I wouldn't have had to do that so much fumbling around trying to guess. But as always, we're doing single take. This is Dodo at his finest trying to get things sorted. So I usually, as always, suggest that you watch this before you do it and not do along at the same time. That way you'll see the mistakes I make and can know to avoid them. So I'm just going to gently tidy up the skirt. It's another reason I think I'll go with the other one is because the joins, the attachments for this skirt were all along the edges of the skirt where the frills are, and I feel that that wasn't the best placement for that, as it's going to make it like it's gonna make it easier to destroy detail when you're trying to smooth things. Otherwise, I don't really see many mold lines. Squinting, there's a very slight one going up the front here, but otherwise it's pretty good. And at the back, yeah, that's surprisingly smooth. I am double checking though, because there's nothing worse than priming a mini and finding this great dirty big mold line sitting down the middle of your miniature. Snip the top. Oh, we get this other leg's done. I think I've already been to this one, but we'll just tidy it up a little bit more. Yeah. Oh no. Again, checking for mold lines. Pretty good. So where a really sharp blade helps is that it's going to clean up those mold lines a lot easier. So I'm going to try and also keep these together, the parts as we use them. Let's see. There's another small part along here. And that one's done. So we'll grab the torso. See, this is another case. So they've done a little clip here along the side of the hair. And then the arm, we want that smooth. Looking pretty good. I was normally going to cut all this out for the series, but it suggested to me that people like to see the whole lot, all the cleaning and everything, because that way they can kind of get an idea of where the attention's got to be on cleaning. So, all right. Now what I think I'm going to do, so I've got to get my plastic glues out that you've seen me use a bunch of times before, the super thin and the normal. Oh, almost stabbed myself in the hand straight away at the beginning of the clip. Where's that leg gone? There it is. We're going to attach the torso together first, and I'm going to do this with the normal glue, I believe. This way it has a bit of time to dry while we're working on the rest of the pieces, so that when it does come time to attach, there we go. So that can sit there. Now we will look, now these ones I'm going to use the super thin. So as always, dry fit first, always dry fit first. Saves yourself a lot more grief in the long run. We'll get, so this was the front, which means they're such fiddly little bits, like, now this is for the variant hips and waist. Going to fit this in as tight as we can. I'm going to get that joint at the back quite smooth, like so. Bring it in for you. Now it does, as I said, it sticks out a lot. I don't particularly like that, but you'll see when we do the other leg together. It's I don't know, I feel it's quite a silly pose. She's kind of like hips out to the side. A few of these, and it's something I've complained a lot, I guess, is that in the, like, they've tried to make them, I guess, add a little bit of dynamism, make them a little bit, you know, sexy and posing, but I just kind of feel a lot of the times that it's just like, what the shit? Why would you ever stand like that? Even if you're trying to, like, do a sexy pose. So as always, you want to press in tight, which will minimize any gaps that you have to fill up later. And you can see what I mean. It's a kind of a thrust out to the side pose. And you also note on both of the torso sections there's a little peg there. That matches up with the bottom of the torso, the bottom of the other half of the torso. Alright, so that's one set of legs done. We're going to do the other set now, and then we'll decide which pair we want to do. I'm thinking the naughtier of the pair, because why not? It's a pin-up. Well, yeah, they're always going to be naughty. Obviously, though, some people are going to be like, oh, I think I want the slightly more clothed one. which is fine. So we're just going to get our plastic glue thin, lightly apply it over the join, make sure we get a good coat, and we're going to slap it in. Making sure to get a good tight fit. So you can see. Now we need the other leg. Do the same thing. Glue on the top of the leg. It's probably a little bit much, so I won't put much on the other half. I'll just put enough to activate the plastic a bit. Get the fusion happening. I think it's definitely the pose of the... Right. So this goes like that. So you can see, if you get it right, it'll almost freestand. And that's how we go. Of course, the question now is, which one do we want to go? Do we want the skirt, or do we want the normal one? I don't know. I'm going to delay that decision by working out which arms I want. Now, both weapon arms are double checking, but yeah, they're both the right arm, or is it the left arm? No, it's the left arm. Yeah, they're both left arms. I think I'm going to go the staff though. I'm not sure. We'll clip them out anyway, and we'll dry fit them and try out the pose. I guess it's the downside of having options on a miniature is that you gotta then decide which options you want to do. And then we have the other arm, which is the same for both. So I guess the easiest way is going to be to lay it down. I'm just gonna try like that, or how will it look like with this one? See this, the arm is like, this makes no sense to me. How is this supposed to go in? This is what's confusing me with this sword arm. It almost seems like it's the shoulder joint is back to front from the rest of the arm. But when you look at the thumbs and such, and like there is nowhere else for there is no other way to do it. So this is when dry fitting comes in. We can have a look and we can see that that doesn't look right. That looks even less right. Jesus. Maybe we'll go with the staff arm because these arm poses look just seem ridiculous. So that's dry fitted. Alright, so that's how that would look. Looking at it, I think it looks, we're definitely going to go with the skirt version just because when you do it like this one, it really seems like her whole torso is just weirdly elongated. Even when you get the join tight, it just seems like she's just super tall and skinny. Like, I guess part of it is the lack of weapons at the moment that'll take away from it. But if I stick it on this half, oh, it's about the same. Let's try the staff arm. I think I like the staff arm with the... We got the staff arm with the skirt, I think. Which way's the less ridiculous leg pose as well, because that'll trigger me. I don't know, it's a hard decision. This is probably not what you're looking for, so feel free to skip the parts where I try and decide which version I think looks nicest. Yeah, we got the nudie version, screw it. We're not here to play games. We're here to put together questionably designed miniatures. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue this to its base now while this sticks. Just because it's going to make one of the arms seems like it's easily going to position together, but I don't know. I want to sit this to dry. Obviously though, as with a lot of these kits, no part will go to waste. You can always assemble other miniatures, get a little bit creative. You can assemble more later from the extra parts. Use them for conversions and things. So we're going to go with the staff arm, which will require a little bit of cleaning up. But I think that's also going to take away from how vertical the character is. I don't know, it's kind of going to make it look more vertical because you've got two very, long straight things, but I like the idea of the shepherd staff. And it's actually got a lantern on it. Most of the models, most Kingdom Death models come with some kind of lantern on them. Alright, so we're going to glue in there. Make sure we get a firm fit. And then do have this last arm to attach, but I think I'm going to glue this into place first. And then of course there is the option of the shepherd's cloak, but I think I'm going to leave that off. This doesn't particularly do much for me as a cloak. So we'll stick her on the base. Making sure, I'm just trying to get her centered. And it's not just about getting the actual body centered, but you want the miniature to feel centered in the base. So even if it means putting her slightly to the side so that you can fit everything in, especially with the way these legs are posed. So that means the last piece we have to clean off is the arm here for the other side. Now, where was the join? It's on its sleeve. So this is going to be a case of being very careful because it's both a very small part, which means it's going to be easy to fumble it and stab yourself. All right. They're nice and smooth. Now the join for this goes down like, it's going to be a bit hard for you to see. Very careful because I don't want to bust her off the base already. It's going to go like this. So hand facing out. It's very awkward. You'll see it. I'll zoom in after I've glued it. So you can see what I mean. It's just very awkward to try and hold it and dry fit it while also showing. So we're going to get glue on top of there. Glue on the other joint, just small amounts. Then we're going to very carefully bring the pieces together. Oops. As always, trying to minimize the gap, make sure it's tight fit. So it looks like there's going to be a small gap for her elbow, but we'll zoom in so you can see. Where are we? So you can see here where the joint is. Let me bring it in even further. I'm just trying to fit it around the camera. So the arm goes like that. And there you have it. There's the completed miniature. As I said, there are the options. So you can have the other skirt bottom. You can have the sword arm. We do have one more piece to stick on though, I've just remembered. So we're going to zoom back out, or focus back out. We have the sword to go on her waist. So obviously this is optional again, but they did sculpt on the straps for it. So it'd be a shame not to, I guess. Otherwise it's just she's gonna have random straps on the side of her leg. So just gonna quickly clean that off. And looks like it's pretty much symmetrical both sides, so we're just gonna choose a side. It's gonna kind of match up. So I'm gonna use very little bit of plastic glue just at the point of contact. And on this one as well. Plastic glue just on the area where it's going to sit. And probably want to leave it like this just to let the sword sit on, but that's it. It's just sticking where the straps are. So, except we sit it like that. We bump this bloody arm again, so I'm going to have to re-stick that. It's less than desirable. So it's not going to put a huge amount of extra glue on. It's just going to reactivate the two surfaces. When it's bone dry, you really need to scrape and clean, but if it's still just kind of sticky, you can just reactivate. Just know that sword's going to come off later. It's quite a fiddly model just to try and work around. You almost, as I said, as with a few of these models, need to just take your time and do one piece and let it completely dry and then move on to the next. Because otherwise you're going to be mucking around like I am right now, trying to stick everything together. There we go. Alright, she's fixed again. She's back. Let's bring the camera down, zoom in for the final shot. As I said though, we still have two pieces left on the sprue. We have the cloak and the empty sword sheath, which goes with this arm. So depending on which arm you've gone with your weapon, depends which one of these you choose. And then the shepherd's cloak if you want. I don't think I'm going to bother with it. I'll keep it for a survivor of some kind later on. And then we have the Saviour. Alright, thanks for watching guys. I hope you find this informative and useful. Apologies as always for the camera shake. If you haven't checked it out already, please check out the Twitch and the Patreon. and the YouTube, or you're already on the YouTube and the Facebook page. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and join me next time for the Pinup Forsaker assembly video, which will be the last one, and then we'll be going through and covering painting the miniatures. All right, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.